Developed by Zero Sum Games and now available on Steam, StarDrive II is claiming to be the spiritual successor of Master of Orion II, which is probably the most relevant 4X turn-based strategy game of our time, developed in about, I think it was 1996, and everything around that time is a little bit blurry because I did spend an enormous amount of time playing it. And after experiencing StarDrive II for the last, I don't know, couple weeks since it's been released, I have to say it does definitely remind me of the old Master of Orion 2. Now, it's not perfect, but they have actually started patching the game, and it's starting to feel really good, and I think it's ready for some exposure on my channel. So here we are, guys! And of course, if you have any questions about the game itself, there is links in the description below, so please feel free to head there. And without further ado, let's play the game! Okay. So, naturally, we're going to play the full campaign, and when it comes to picking a race, well, I never pick human because I'm already human. Wow, this music's really loud. I'm just going to turn this down just a little bit more. There we go. Now you guys can probably actually hear me. It just got super, super loud there for some reason. Okay, confirm. Awesome. All right, so when it comes to humans, I rarely play humans just because, well, I'm already human. I already know what I could do. I already know I'm smart, I'm industrious, I'm proficient space fighter, and I'm a quality engineer. I already know all this. Well, really, I mean, rationally speaking, human really doesn't differ all that much from game to game because we already know what human is. Whereas a lot of these other races are so vastly different, and they're all sort of, you can kind of link almost every one of these to a previous race from the original Master of Orion 2, and it really does speak loudly that Zero Sum Games was trying to replicate or do a successor to Master of Orion 2. You know, I look at the Kolrathi and I go, it's very similar to Bullrathi, and I believe that was the bear race in Master of Orion 2, and I just love these guys in Master of Orion 2 because they were also bear-like, and they're really, really tough at hand-to-hand combat, and of course invading planets and stuff like that. And in Master of Orion 2, once you got the assault shuttle technology, you were able to capture ships and stuff, and because these guys were so tough, you could literally just, you didn't have to research anything to do a spacecraft because you just come in with your assault shuttles and capture their ships, and you took over the galaxy with enemy ships. It was fantastic. I loved playing them. It was a challenge, but it was super, super, super fun. Now, I haven't seen assault shuttles in this game yet, and I have not played the game all the way through. So just so everybody knows, I have not played the game all the way through. I played up to about the mid game, and then over and over and over and over as they're doing the patching. And it seems, like I said, this seems like a more stable build, and I'm having a little bit more success, so I don't want to ruin the surprise for myself outside of YouTube, so that's why I'm here. But anyway, the race that I have been really hoping to play more of right now is the Opteris Hive. It is, the rules are very, very, very different for this race, and we'll talk about the rules in a second. First off, I'd like to read what it says about the Opterus. Opterus is not an empire, but a creature. It is a massive, decentralized, cybernetic organism whose sum total of knowledge and abilities rests in each of its identical drones. This kind of sounds Borgish, doesn't it? Its imperative to find new worlds and self-replicate endlessly is its only apparent motivation. However, it would be a grave mistake to view this imperative as the mindless execution of a computer program, as Opterus is brilliant, industrious, and utterly lacking in compassion. So it's a cybernetic or robotic race, but they kind of have a bug-like thing going on, and I kind of like that too. I haven't modified them. In other words, you can of course edit, you can customize the races beyond what they already are, but I haven't done that with this race. I like to sort of start with what they originally start with, and then, you know, maybe in another playthrough I'd, you know, modify it or something. But so what's really interesting is the rules in this. So as cybernetic races have completely replaced their organic bodies with mechanical components. They no longer breed through normal methods. In other words, your planets will not naturally grow in population. That's really, 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 really important to know. The only way for a cybernetic race to grow is by constructing new citizens. Yes, you actually have to build them. Cybernetic citizens do not experience emotions and do not experience bonuses or penalties from approval ratings. So in other words, we can actually fill a planet with these creatures. We have to build them, and we can fill the planet, and we're not going to suffer any of the approval or the disapproval of having an overpopulated planet. So huge advantage and disadvantage in that, because building your own people, that takes time, right? So other than that, rich homeworld, and we're smart, which means we get a little bonus in research, not huge, and we're industrious, so we get a little bonus to production, which is okay. We have clumsy spies, which kind of sucks because, well, you know, especially if we're facing the Deluks, which again is resemblant to another Master of Orion II species. These guys are really good spies, and they'll come in and they'll just they'll steal all our technology and stuff like that. But that's okay. That's okay. I can live with that. And poor farmers, well, it doesn't really matter that we're good farmers if there's ways for us to survive without food. At the beginning we need food, but there's ways to survive without food, but it costs money. But anyway, I'm super excited. We are going to play the Opterus. It's perfect for me. I love it. And of course, I watch a little bit of what other people are playing, and a lot of people are playing human. And I've, a little smatterings here and there, but Opterus is where it's at, man. That's me. That's totally me. So I picture the Opterus as kind of being blue. Well, gray. No, see, I like the colors. Orange is okay. You know what? I think no, yellow. No. Yeah. Let's go with the yellow. Yellow means look at me, right? So opponent count, of course, maximum opponent count. Difficulty, we're going to do hard. And hope for the best. And we may die, but that's okay. Opterus, we're going to go with, no. Opterus, Deluks Opterus, there we go. Deluks Opterus. Good. And system count, we're gonna bring the system count down a little bit. That means we're gonna intercept bad guys, or sorry, not necessarily bad guys, but other races right away. What that could be good or it could be bad. We're gonna go with the clusters. Now, so system distribution. So this determines what the galaxy is going to look like. So with random, they're just kind of all over the place. With spiral, the kind of galaxy does a spiral thing, similar, not dissimilar to what our galaxy looks like. And clusters is little clusters of stars together. So it kind of makes a nice little fair start for everybody. I kind of like that. Galactic fertility and all this stuff, I don't mess with this. I leave this all on normal, or even sometimes I bring the hostile threats up a little bit. Just to make the threats a little bit more brutal, but I think we'll just leave those on classic for now. So fertility would be like how much the planet produces for food and stuff like that. Richness is how much production you get per worker. So this is how much food you get per farmer, how much production you get per worker. And hostile threats is how many pirates and stuff are out in the galaxy, as well as alien races that are not part of another civilization. And then of course we don't want to disable attacks. We don't want to randomize personalities. So I want the personalities to be as is. And tutorials, we don't need tutorials because I've played enough of this now to be at least beyond the novice range. I've also played an enormous amount of Master of Orion, like so much that whole time in my life is blurry. So 1996 to about 2000, everything's kind of blurry. Okay, Deluks Opteris Hive. Anomaly logged in research project H... Here, we could do the voice. Anomaly logged in research project H0... No, that sucks. Power modulation subroutine logic corrupted by unknown process. We're like cybernetic beings with a lot of personality. Power flow through target medium increased to 40% baseline probability of catastrophic explosion calculated to be 100% as indicated at indicated power levels. New data adjust probability. What the hell? Probability of spatial anomaly creation 100%. An experiment. Okay, so this is a whole lot of nonsense, except it gets down to the bottom. Imperative: explore, expand, exploit. Wait, we're missing one. Explore, expand, exploit, exterminate. Yes, we're missing one. Exterminate. Yes, exterminate, because it's a 4x. Explore, expand, exploit, exterminate. So we will probably do all of those things, I'm certain. And here we are. This is our home system. Let's take a quick look. Okay, so as I said, we are starting with clusters. So we can see that this is a cluster, this is a cluster, etc. And we picked 8 races. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 clusters and 8 races. So odds are there is another race or another civilization right here. Oh, that's exciting. So let's take a look at our home system. Deluks Opteris Hive. So we are starving, apparently, already. So we start off with 2 ships. Start off with an exploration frigate. It is a default exploration frigate. And a colony ship. Now, every race has its own sort of base designs. Oh, I don't want to call it design. So, in other words, this is the smallest hull of this particular race. Now, this base hull, of course, you can see it kind of looks like a little fly. You don't get to design that, unfortunately. But the race itself, the design, the hull comes with so many spots in a particular configuration unique to this race. In other words, if we go and play human, the smallest hull type will look not only physically look different, in other words, it won't look like a fly, it'll look like a human ship, but also these little boxes will be in a different configuration for the human race, and that's the same for all of the different hull sizes and types, which is really, really cool. So it does definitely make a unique experience when you're playing every race, even though you start off with the basic access to the basics, defenses and offenses and systems. The actual hulls themselves are configured differently. So each one of these boxes in the hull here, of course, can hold different things such as armor, weapons, defense systems, and power systems, and engines. All those things can be included here. So I'm not going to dwell on this right now because we're going to be coming back to this. I just wanted to point out that it is different every time you play, when we play a different race, what the hull will look like, which is kind of neat. And we will be building our own ships, of course, but we're not going to do that right this minute. We got a wormhole right in our home system. That could be really, really bad or really, really good. Who knows? Well, that's exciting anyway. So we start with a colony ship, which means we can actually take over a planet and start colonizing it right away. Now, with this race, things are a little different because all these little guys, these little robotic insect dudes, do not mate and reproduce in the typical way. Typically, we could just leave this and they will grow new people on their own. However, that's never going to happen here. We're never going to produce more people. Now, right now, we still eat food of some sort, so we have to actually keep farming for food, which really stinks. But we can, right off the bat, we can actually build a structure that will allow us to not have to eat at all in this planet. The downside is it costs money. And actually, at the beginning, it is a substantial amount of money. I hope I'm explaining this okay. I'm really not. I hope that you're not here for the tutorial. I hope you're here for some gameplay because I guess beyond the tutorial point on this, I just want to play, and that's why I'm here. So the charging hub, actually, we'll just read what it says. The charging hubs are specialized power plants with interface ports for routine cybernetic upkeep. Cybernetic units and androids do not require food as upkeep so long as the planet has a charging hub. So this guy will actually remove the need for our little critters, our little cybernetic beings, it'll make it so they don't have to eat. They just have to plug into this unit, and of course, then they're fine. Now, whether or not you want to build one right away is a tricky question because you only start off with one planet, and your total income right now is 1. We're making 1 credit. I don't know what kind of credits they are, some kind of interstellar credit, whatever. But we're only making 1, and if we build the cyber charging hub, well, we're going to be sitting at -3. Now, every critter that we build for our home planet, of course, will increase that income, so that's good. Now, of course, when we're farming, I think we can still use that trade, that extra food production as trade too as well. I'm not sure if it'll let us do that. So in this game, yeah, no, it won't let us do that right now. I guess there's no such thing. But you can also gain money by trading goods directly, which will allow you to just use your production, convert your production to food. Maybe I should be doing a little bit of a tutorial here. I don't know if anybody's interested in that. And if you are, maybe I will do a specific episode, just a tutorial, a rundown on the game itself. But I'm not going to do that here. Just suffice it to say, we've got a planet. Our planet, if we're not producing enough food, we will be in a state of shrinking. Right now we have 8 out of 12 maximum critters for this planet. I will continue to call them critters because that's sort of the best way I can describe them. This planet is producing 2 net income right now because we are actually trading goods. We are converting some of this production into money. This is our approval rating. Approval rating means nothing for the cybernetic race, by the way. So this number, even though Colony approval is 60%. It doesn't affect anything. So see, it says there cybernetic indifference. That means no matter how bad or how good this planet is, how polluted it is, whatever, it does not affect this species at all. So in most other civilizations, when your approval rating falls, of course, your farmers aren't efficient, your workers aren't efficient, your scientists aren't efficient. And when approval rating's really high, they're more efficient. But for this race, it doesn't affect them at all. And I'd rather have that, because the approval rating is just another metric that you have to keep up with. And if you don't have to keep up with it, well, it's not a problem. So, and I kind of like that. So I see that as kind of an advantage for this race, even though you don't get the bonuses when it's high. But that's okay. Okay, so I guess we have to make a decision right away. Well, first off, before we do that, so of course there's 3 different places to put your critters. You can put them into food production, which means farmers. And if you can hover over this, it says food per farmer. So each one of our farmers will produce 2. But because we are naturally poor farmers, each one of our farmers will actually produce 1.5 instead. Right? Makes sense? So when I take this out, when I put this in, it's going to go up to negative 0.05. When I put another one in, it's going to go up to 1 because it's going up by 1.5 at a time. If I put another one in, it's going to go up to 2.5, etc. So each one of our farmers is producing 1.5. So 2 minus the 1.5. So, and then it shows our total output of food, 10.5. And of course, whatever we're not eating goes into this pool that sits up here as a sort of what's extra in your empire, and then you can trade that to other planets that are not producing enough food or whatever, right? I hope you guys are with me here. Like I said, I hope you're not here for a tutorial totally, but I am going through things a little bit here. So, and then workers, this is your production. This is where you can actually build stuff. So in other words, if I want to build ships or I want to build buildings on the ground, in other words, this fleet academy, which allows us to build higher level ships, but I have to build the fleet academy first to make that happen. So it would require 150 hammers or production units to make that happen. And if I put 2 workers into production, we're producing 9 hammers at a time, which means we would build this in 17 turns. Makes sense? We can also rush that production by just buying it outright, right? So we just pay the money and they just put the building up. Very similar to Civilization in that sense. However, we have no money. We have 50 credits at this point, so we wouldn't be able to buy anything, so we'd have to actually wait it out. I'm not going to build the Fleet Academy first. I'm debating on whether or not to build that or the charging hub. The charging hub would make it so that our little guys wouldn't need food, which means, so right now we are putting almost all of our efforts on this planet into building food, and there's nothing left for producing any more anything, so like science or production. So I'm debating on whether or not to do that, and I think we probably will. It's a risky move because it costs money, and like I said, we don't have a lot of money at the beginning. But the other alternative, what I could also do instead of that is start building more guys for my planet, which is, it's not a bad option too. So in other words, I go and you can actually build your people instead of having them naturally reproduce. So I would actually build a citizen, which costs 200 production points. That is a lot of production points. In other words, at the beginning of the game, it's going to take 23 turns to build my first citizen. That is a long time. But we might just do it anyway. I don't know. It's a long time. I'll give us some time to explore and stuff. Yeah, let's do that. Let's build a citizen first off, and we have to keep this many people into food production. Oh. So maybe we'll build 1 citizen and then we'll build the charging hub, because that'll give us a little bit more income, because every citizen adds income to your population in the form of taxes. So, and then the third spot that we haven't talked about yet is scientists. Now, every planet is different, depends on, so some planets will give you research bonuses, no, it's not planets that give you research bonuses. I don't think. There is some special things that happen on planets that can give you research bonuses, but that naturally it's whatever your race does. So our race gives us naturally 3 per. Yes, every unit, every critter gives us 3 because we are smart. So it's 2 plus 1 because we're smart. Smart is one of the traits at the beginning that we got naturally with this race. So we get +1 to our research. So that means we get 3 per unit, which is nice. So every time we put one in here, we get another 3. So now we're up to 6. That's right. Now, at the beginning, we're not actually going to do any research, which is very different from any of the other races. When in the other races, you rely on that initial research, but we're counting on the fact that we will build a bunch of citizens and max out our planet very, very quickly so that we can just start pumping into research and, of course, pumping into production. But at the beginning, you're kind of at a huge disadvantage with this race. So That's it. We're not actually going to be researching something. Okay, and down here we have our ground troops. So ground troops for this race, they could look like kind of like flies. And of course you can decide what kind of weapons and armor they are carrying. So in other words, this guy has a laser rifle as well as a deployable shield. And if I wanted to give him heavy armor as well, we could do that. Now, heavy armor, of course, has an advantage and a disadvantage, like most things in the game. They would get plus 5 shield and plus 5 resistance to physical damage. However, the weight of the armor causes him to be -1 in speed, so which really does matter in the ground battles or the unit-to-unit battles. But you'll get to see that, I'm sure, fairly quickly, because there's usually an instance that you can go and play in the hand-to-hand combat, which is kind of fun. And to use these guys, we'd have to launch them into a transport, which we don't have. We have to actually build those transports in the form of freighter fleets, but we're not going to do that yet. We're just going to build our citizen, and we're going to do some exploring around. So I hope I've explained this relatively well. Now this, you have no control over where structures gets put, but this is where you can actually see your structures. So we already have an infantry base on this planet, which costs us 1 coin, whatever that is. Now we could technically get rid of this base right away. You know, if we're min-maxing, you know, we could just get rid of this base. We would give us a little bit of money back. And of course, because there's maintenance on that infantry base, we're gonna need every penny we can possibly get a hold of. The disadvantage is, now if we lose any of these infantry, that we won't lose these infantry here, but we won't replenish any new ones. I think the max we can have on a planet is 4 or 6, I'm not sure. And this infantry base will produce 1 every 5 turns. Produce a new infantry unit every 5 turns. But, you know, it's tempting to get rid of it. We also start off with a starbase. The starbase is absolutely essential. You need that starbase. It is the basic defense for your colony too as well. That's it, floating around right there. It's actually a powerhouse in terms of defense for the colony. Very different from Master of Orion 2, where you started with nothing, absolutely nothing to defend your first colony, I believe. So it was a bit of a challenge. If you got attacked early in the game, you were pretty much done, whereas you have a little bit of defense at the beginning here. So I'm tempted to get rid of this infantry base. I think we can have a max of 6 on this planet, so I think we'll wait until we're all out of, or sorry, we have 4 out of 6 infantry right now. I think we'll wait until we've got 6 out of 6, which will mean 10 turns, because every 5 turns we get a new infantry. So in 10 turns, we will get rid of that infantry base. Ha ha ha! Research, we're going to choose a research. It doesn't matter right now because we're not actually researching anything. Research points, just like build points. So if we were producing 6 research points, we would get rid of this biochemistry in 10, 12, 13 turns, right? Makes sense. So 6 per turn, 80 divided by 6, so 13 turns, right? But we're not actually going to be doing that. We're going to pick something, because you have to pick something. I think to start off, we're going to go with either the automated rover bay or the xenomine. I think we'll do the automated rover bay. The advantage to the rover bay is that you don't actually have to have anybody in the production slot. In other words, I don't have to have anybody in here, and we'll still be producing. In other words, we'll still have the ability to build stuff, which is really nice. That way you can actually dedicate planets to doing strictly research. And there is something for research for that too as well. And of course farming, I think. But yeah, so I think we'll do the automated rover bay. The xenomine means you just get more production per worker, and you get a lot more per worker, which is really advantageous. But it requires you to actually put people into production in order to make that work. So I think we'll go for the automated. I think the automated is cheaper to maintain too. No, they're the same. -1 on the top right. -1. Okay, so I'm explaining as I go. I hope that's okay. Some of you might just be here for gameplay. We'll still start to speed this up as the series progresses, of course. Okay, so that's it. We're good there. Let's send out our fleet to start exploring. We're going to send our explorer out. I think we'll send him out here. Now, as far as colonizing our first planet, so we do have, or our second planet, we have a colonizer already. Now you got to play this race different than you would other races. With the other races, of course, you'd want to send this out and colonize the first thing you find to start building up more people. But with this race, you got to be careful, because they don't produce food as well as the other races, and it's gonna be tricky to build. Like, you don't naturally grow on that planet. So if I colonize this planet right now, Well, I wouldn't colonize this one, but say this was a planet where I could actually produce food. It is not. If you notice on the top right there, it says food per farmer 0. If it was a planet that actually produced food, and I colonized it, I would never actually grow in this colony because there's no way for me to ship new people here. And because it's not a food-producing planet, I couldn't actually feed the one guy that lands there. It's absolutely pointless. So, and when you're starting with a different race, the rules are a little bit different, and you'll see as I go along. And I'm sure a lot of you have already been watching some Starbound. I don't know. Scouts have arrived in the Colonist system, so once this ship is an exploration ship, and that ring around it is its sensor range. So as soon as it hits sensor range, I can actually see what's going on here. So there's a gas giant here that is uninhabitable, and of course there's an asteroid there that looks really, really cool. It is very pretty. The game is actually quite nice, and another wormhole. Crazy. And if you'll notice here, there is an unexplored anomaly. We are going to come back to that. There's no rush to go to it. That could mean anything from pirates to crystal race to just some kind of strange interaction with the galaxy. It could be an asteroid. It could be all sorts of stuff. So, and I'm just hitting the turn here and moving things along. Okay, we've explored another place. We've got a small toxic planet, and it has something called helium-3 attached to it. Now, these are strategic resources. Once you've accumulated enough of them, you get a bonus. In other words, if I control this planet, I get 2 units of helium-3, and if I control 4 or more, in other words, if I control 4 units of helium-3 empire-wide, I will get the bonus called exploitation bonus on the top right there. Control 4 or more. Gain 25% more damage with beam weapons, which is pretty darn good. I don't know. I think that's pretty good. I don't know. But the planet again it's a non-food producing planet, so it's completely useless to us at this point. Okay, so as long as our exploration ship is traveling within our home region, this yellow, the yellow area, we are not actually using fuel. Let's assume that there is fuel supply vehicles or whatever that's providing fuel to our ship. So, but as soon as we leave the safety of that ring, Galactic News Network. So these guys are it's some annoying news media network that will continue to sort of pester us here and there. And they'll be talking about reports are filtering in that 9 new races have taken to the stars, and it's kind of signifying some kind of massive event that happens periodically in the galaxy, where races all of a sudden become sentient and shoot to the stars all sort of at the same time, and then there's this big battle that ensues. And then they'll come in periodically and tell us about those other races that have appeared in the galaxy. So we're going to continue exploring with our little explorer ship. We should name our ships, and I don't know if we can actually individually. Yes, we can actually name fleets. So if you want to be on the list of names for names of ships, please just leave a comment below and with the name that you'd like the ship to be, and we'll try to do that in order of the fleets that we create. Okay, so here we go. Occur. So we've got a gas giant, which is no good to us. Tiny asteroid belt. Asteroids, you can actually colonize asteroid belts. Again, pretty useless for us until we get freighters and we can ship food and all that kind of stuff. But eventually, of course, like I said, we can actually create that thing that makes this. And you have to build that charging building. This what is it called again? The charging hub in every planet that you own as this species in order to get the benefits of not having to eat food, right? So we would actually have to build that here. Otherwise, we'd still have to ship food to this planet. Small Baron. So this is a food-producing planet. Still kind of useless to us. No bonuses here. You'll notice it also has low G, which gives us a gravity penalty. It should give us a gravity penalty. Maybe we don't get one because we're cybernetic. I don't know. But you'll notice there is a maintenance penalty to be part of, to colonize the asteroid belt, and I think that's just from it being tiny and low G. It's interesting that we don't get the same penalty there, but that's okay. Okay, so now that we've explored all of the planets in our home system, or all of the solar systems in our home system, we could go and explore those wormholes, but I think before we do that, I'm doing all the safe stuff first, or relatively safe stuff, if possible. I'm going to go exploring outside of the yellow ring, which means as soon as we cross this mystical barrier, we will start using fuel. Now, you'll notice that the ship has 780 units of fuel. That's what this is down here on the bottom left, and it does not require ammunition. So this is the amount of ammunition here, and this is the amount of fuel. We'll go through this. This fleet requires one command point. You have so many command points available to you. Things like star bases, when you build a star base, gives you more command points. You can only build up to a maximum of whatever that limit is on command points, and then after that, you will pay more money to maintain that fleet. It doesn't mean you can't go over, so I could have 12 out of 7 ships, except it would cost us an arm and a leg. But up to that 7, it doesn't cost us anymore, and I think some versions of Civilization was kind of the same thing. And then, of course, we have the fleet speed. That is our FTL system. That is our faster than light speed. So we travel at 25 mysterious astronomical units, and of course that can change over time depending on the technology we make use of, and that means the speed that it's traveling on the strategic map, not in actual battle. And then this is the amount of troops that we have on the ship, which is 0. This is the fleet sensor range, and the sensor range comes from, let's just take a look at that ship design. So this is the Explorer here. The Explorer has a sensor array on it, which gives us that neat little sensor ring that allows us to sense things at a certain range. And the rest of the ship is pretty much fuel tanks. One little tiny engine. Doesn't matter how many engines you have on a ship, it will not travel faster on the strategic map. That is solely dependent on the type of engine and the type of technologies you have researched. Now, aside from that, this ship is just all fuel, right? That's why we have 780 fuel available. It has some power to power that little engine and the sensor, and of course a basic command pod. Now, you don't have to have this command pod. This allows somebody to actually crew the ship, and on bigger ships and stuff, that will reduce the amount of command points that the ship takes when you build it. Whatever, it's a neat little thing. I don't know how much it, yeah, see, CP reduction, command point reduction, and it improves the sensor range as well, and gives you a damage bonus to any weapons that you have, but there is no weapons on the ship. It's just a exploration vessel, strictly exploration, so if we run into trouble, we just simply have to run away. And again, I apologize if this is moving pretty slow for you. We will be speeding up this series as time goes on, and we're probably already running out of time, because I'm sure, oh, here we go. Medium barren. Okay, so a non-food producing planet, but it has something called storm racked on it. Every few turns, this planet is racked by incredibly violent storms. Production and farming are impossible during the storms. Plus 50% to building maintenance here. Gain a special project to study and control of this planet's weather. So what it's saying is, if we capture this planet, or if we take over this planet with a colony ship, we will actually get a little project that we can research to actually change the weather on the planet so it's no longer a problem. It also has trilithium, which is again one of those special materials that if we own 4 of them, we would gain 33% fuel efficiency when traveling outside my supply range, which is what we're doing right now. So it would be great to have this planet, but and it's also a rich planet, which means we get lots of production per worker, 6 production per worker, which is amazing. But we can't afford, like, we would go, if we colonize this planet right now, the game would be over for us. Seriously, we couldn't afford it. We would go broke, and we would die. So let's. I'm watching this ship closely because it might get intercepted by some kind of. What the? Oh, okay. I guess it's just a gas giant here. So I'm watching the fuel. We've gone through a little bit of fuel, but it's a pretty small ship, and it has a lot of fuel tanks, so it could probably go for quite some time. Oh, we did actually... Oh, you know what we didn't do? Oh, we screwed up. We totally screwed up. We left our guys in research. I mean, that's good. Actually, that's really good, now that I think about it. Because we got the automated rover bay, that will improve our... we just have to build one, and then we're actually going to move that up to the top. You can move these around just by clicking and dragging. We're going to build the automated rover bay because it's, number one, it's super fast to build, and that'll give us a huge bonus and speed the rate at which we are building the citizens. And also, I've noticed that we are maxed out in infantry, so we're actually going to kill the infantry base. And I know some of you would be like, really? You're killing the infantry base? A building? But trust me, we're going to go broke once we build a few things here. So we need as much money as we can get. So that gave us a nice big chunk of cash, as well as improved our income because that was costing maintenance. So there we go. And we don't lose our ground forces. So just keep that in mind. We're not losing our ground forces. And it's just, otherwise now it's just going to sit there and it really doesn't do us any good. So getting rid of that infantry base is actually not a terrible idea for any startup. But I don't know. You know, I guess it depends on what's going on. So, all right, so we get to choose a new research. Now we've actually got the research turned off. So why don't we go for research lab. This is, I think this is the one. Yes, so this one is kind of like the automated rover bay, whereas once it's built, we actually don't have to have anybody in the research side, in the research part of the planet. In other words, as scientists, we don't have to have anybody as scientists to actually do any research on the planet. So it's another one of those sort of automated things. I kind of like it. So it's only going to take us 9 turns to build that automated rover bay. That's huge. Perfect. That's exactly what we want. Okay, so we're coming up on this next planet. Here we go. Remnant encounter. One of our fleets has encountered a mysterious fleet that did not appear on sensors until we entered the system. They are not responding to our hails. Long-range scans indicate that these ships possessed an advanced arsenal of weaponry. They are tough. It looks like they're setting an intercept course for our ships. We should assume they have a hostile intent, which they do. And of course, like as I said before, our ship does not have any guns on it. So we're actually going to set course back home. And we're going to save, I guess we have to be a little bit closer for our sensors to actually identify what's in the system. That's weird. That's weird because I thought that's what the sensor, but whatever. Okay, so we're heading back. We're heading back. Hopefully he is slightly faster than us. Hostile fleet, yeah. And how many ships? So there's 4 of these ships. They are super advanced too. No, he's traveling the same speed. He'd never catch up to me. But if he comes into our home planet, the range of our home planet, our starbase will attack. And I don't know if the starbase could hold off an attack from these guys. They are that tough. So I don't know. It's probably a good thing that he's kind of heading home. Bye! Okay, so we know that planet is being guarded. Okay, so now that we're back at our home planet, it should automatically replenish our fuel, which it will next turn. There we go, we're replenished. And let's see what, yeah, so that guy's kind of in the way there. So I think what we'll do is we'll go explore this anomaly, and then we'll come back and we'll start doing the wormholes. Haha! And there, our automated rover bay is done, and look at that. So now it only takes 17 turns to build a citizen. And it gives us, so I think before we were sitting at 9 production, now we're at 12 production because we have the automated worker bay thing. However, now we're producing pollution. Now, if we were any other race other than the one that we have, it would matter. It is possible to make your planet pretty much uninhabitable with any other race by just producing too much pollution and causing your planet to go crazy, and then of course farming becomes completely pointless. It becomes less and less effective on the planet. However, once we build that charging station, it's not going to matter. So pollution, I don't care. Let's pollute the crap out of the planet. Why not? I think we're going to go check out this anomaly, and then we're going to call this an episode. Because we probably run too far, and that's why I didn't want to spend too much time doing the tutorial stuff. Okay, so back GNN. So we're going to find out the first race that is on our radar. So today, so we're going to talk about the Vulfar Imperium. So the Vulfar, these are kind of like, I compare them to the Klingons. They're just mindless beasts that just always want to attack, and they're cool. Their ships are actually really neat. I played them. They're actually really neat, but I don't know. They've reached out to the leaders, and the quote from the Vulfar Imperium was, "Vulfar Imperium does not suffer interviews with foolish robots. We should kill and devour you for even asking." So it gives you an indication of what their entire species is like, and they're not overly pleasant. So thank you, GNN. And let's hit our anomaly, and then we'll call this, infested derelict. This is a fun one, and we can totally start this one right away, but we're going to start it on the next episode. Just to give you a heads up, we're going to see some ground combat already. So I will read this first. The infested derelict. Your forces have encountered a derelict spacecraft of unknown origins. The hull appears to be intact with no signs of external damage. Most systems appear powered down, although a distinct radioactive signature indicates the ship's core is still at least partially engaged. Bioscans are returning positive for life signs. So we have 2 options here. Noted, perhaps we will return with ground forces to investigate this mysterious derelict, or the investigating fleet is accompanied by ground forces, which we are not. Order your forces to investigate. So what we need to do is come back with some of those ground forces that we have at our planet, and hope that we don't lose any because, yeah, unless if you're not paying attention, we destroyed our infantry base. And these guys aren't going to go away unless they die. So hopefully they won't die. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the first episode of StarDrive II. I am probably making another one tonight. So talk to you soon.